The one of one is missing.
I knew something was up.
Pop, that's almost twice as much going for the same price.
I just freaking love that rated rookie logo.
Doing more buying.
Which one of these 5 quarterbacks has the worst set of pass catchers to throw the football to?
Guess how much I sniped this for an auction?
Number to 5, you dirty animal.
I'm telling you, these optic on-card autos are money.
Week 1 is in the books. As we move forward to week 2, all a part of the nooffseason.com network. His name is Andy. My name is Carter. So, Mr. Kaysen, your biggest takeaway from week 1, outside of all the quarterbacks barely throwing for any yards, is what?
Yeah, man. I think it's a great reminder that if you're speculating on rookie quarterbacks or even second-year quarterbacks, but specifically, I think rookie quarterbacks really struggled this past weekend. It makes sense to sell them heading into week 1 versus holding on to see, oh, this guy's been playing so hot in the preseason. He's going to be the guy coming out of the gates here, week 1, easy matchup, right? I mean, we could go down the board. And I think that, selling heading into week 1 for quarterbacks, especially rookie quarterbacks, makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, so Caleb looked mid. He was good late to help them get one of the more miraculous wins we've ever seen. Jaden was not so great either, but his first ever game, he did some good things running, missed a few deep shots. And then, of course, Bo Nix going up against Seattle, Mike McDonald. That's a tough matchup. So you're right about that, Andy. And also, the year 2 guys, right? CJ looked amazing. Anthony Richardson had that deep bomb, but lost. But Will Levis and Bryce Young, woof. So I'll go ahead and eat it. I don't see a path forward for Bryce Young. I thought he would be a little bit better. That was definitely one of the worst starting quarterback performances for a number 1 overall pick in year 2 I've ever seen. So, man, I don't know if it's a buy low opportunity here with Bryce Young, but it wasn't good for those 2 year 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but I think that Bryce Young's prices could continue to fall and get lower. I mean, he's not yet at that Aiden O'Connell level, but he could be. He could be really soon, Carter. And so I think you're kind of like, if you're kind of holding on for dear life and hoping for the best. But if you've sold him already heading into the season, that was probably the best thing to do, because it seems like it's going to get, they have they're hosting the Chargers this upcoming week. So it doesn't get any easier here for Bryce Young. We're probably looking at an 0-2 start by the Panthers, and it just looked brutal, man.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and take a few comments, including a new member to the channel. You can hit that join button, by the way, and guess what? You can have a little fancy smancy little logo. That's Sherry Spriggs, excuse me. Well, I've got a Puka 1 of 1 RPA out of Obsidian. I was wanting some advice on what to do with it. Sherry, that's definitely a hold right there for me, because we know Puka's going to get healthy again. I would not sell this right now, Andy, while he's hurt, when we know that when he gets healthy, he's going to have a big game.
Yeah, I was looking at some data for Puka Nacua before the live stream started, and he has dipped a little bit, but only about 10%. And we know he just went to IR, so he's going to miss at least 4 weeks, right, Carter? Yeah. And he already struggled with this injury in preseason. So hopefully this is not a lingering issue for the rest of the season, but definitely heading into the midseason time period here, he's going to be subject to a pretty significant dip just by missing the next 4 weeks. So obviously I think he's a hold. Like, if you have that 1-1, you've got to hold on now for probably next year is going to be your best time, or if the Rams make a playoff push. But it's not going to be till late December, because I think Puka is actually going to suffer quite a significant dip here, October, November. Plus, I mean, you not only had Puka getting hurt, but you also had Cooper Kupp getting the largest target share amongst any wide receiver in the NFL this past weekend. So, and then people remember Hey, Cooper Kupp did win the Triple Crown just a couple years ago. He was the Offensive Player of the Year. He was the Super Bowl MVP, right? I mean, he was the man. He was the wide receiver one. So it's like his comeback to relevance here is very real, and his prices as a result have gone up.
Right.
So just as we've seen the dip on Puka Nacua, which hasn't been crazy, the pink, this pink optic rated rookie out of 50 auto for that closed an auction yesterday for 283.74 was closing an auction for like 250, earlier. Like 350. So it hasn't gone down like a crazy amount, but there's been probably, I would say, about a 10 to 15% dip on Puka's auctions if they are ending yesterday and today, whereas Cooper Kupp has nearly doubled in value. Carter, I was on Slabhawk. Look at this. Like, here's some optic PSA 10 Cooper Kupp auctions that were August for $34, $50 buy it now, $42 auction, and then the latest one on his optic PSA 10 for $85 today in a buy it now.
I would seriously consider selling your Cooper Kupp cards right now. That was actually going to be my play of the week, Andy, because, man, how much more gas does he have left in the tank? Well, apparently quite a bit. And to your point a minute ago, Andy, not only was, he's a Triple Crown winner, that was the best season by any wide receiver in NFL history. If you factor in the playoff performances and the game-winning Super Bowl catch mixed in there. So, yeah, I mean, I would seriously consider moving Cooper Kupp because I just don't know a situation where it's going to be better for him. Obviously, going into next year, Puka will be fully healthy and, the target shares will be about even. So I would seriously consider, if you have some Cooper Kupp lying around that you want to move, this is the opportunity to move it. You can ask Andy, man. It is rare for a player his age, it's not a bona fide Hall of Famer, to just double like that. I mean, that's a pretty large increase, and that's just for a non-auto PSA 10 right there. So I would seriously consider moving your Cooper Kupp. But Andy, outside of, the clear obvious young quarterback struggling, some of the year two guys struggling, one thing that was interesting to me was a lot of these dusty veterans had big games. Derek Carr, big game. Sam Darnold got the W. It wasn't some crazy game, but he was good, right? It makes it a lot easier when you look at a guy like Sam Darnold versus Daniel Jones. But while this guy isn't so much like a dusty veteran, look, you put him on the screen, the next guy I was going to talk about. Baker Mayfield has made me a lot of money. That has been my guy when it comes to football cards, buying it really low and selling it high. And I made a lot of money just having Baker inventory at card shows. I wish I would have had some going into the performance he had this past weekend.
Oof. Yeah, Baker on fire, man, with the 4 touchdowns. And I don't know if it was so much of just like the Commanders' defensive secondary once again was really bad. I mean, we have good receivers, right? And I was really concerned that our play calling would drop off, but no, man, it was fine. It was great. In fact, our rookies had really good showing between Bucky Irving and Jalen McMillan. Our rookie center looked phenomenal out there. I know a lot of guys have been talking about his film on Twitter, and Baker threw a great game. I mean, accuracy was there. The decision-making was there, and he took advantage of, the one-on-one matchups with Mike Evans. Like, you can't cover that guy. Like, the guy is such a Hall of Famer. I mean, it's just kind of, I think it was one of those games yesterday that really solidifies the fact that, Baker, I think, is going to have another great year. I mean, I think he's going to have another great year. Started off week 1 really good. Let's see if he can sustain it, because we all know that the 3-0 storyline, the front runner for MVP to start the season, always goes up. I mean, even if you're a guy like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, CJ Stroud, who already have sky-high prices on your rookie cards, that 3-0 start just cannot be ignored. That front runner for MVP, being touted like that on ESPN and NFL Sports, on the NFL Network is like huge. And even guys with sky-high prices go up. But Baker had super cheap prices like Sam Darnold. So both of those guys have doubled, tripled people are bringing out, shelling out the big bucks for those guys' cards because in comparison to the guys that are already super hyped up, they're still pretty cheap.
Joe Burrow's on our thumbnail, Andy, and obviously we go to the 2020 rookie quarterback class. We had two play each other, Jalen Hurts and Jordan Love, and Hurts came out on top. Tua wins, Herbert wins. But it is interesting that the only one who just played terrible was our guy, Joey B.
Man, I got to ask you about this because it seems like he hasn't been himself since the injury, like at the beginning of last season. And he just looked like scared out there. I mean, I was looking at the stats and this was one of the lowest pressure rates he had in his career from this game. Yeah. It wasn't like they were putting a ton of pressure. It wasn't like Kirk Cousins back there scrambling for his life on a bum Achilles tendon, and you had TJ Watt breathing down your throat every play. I mean, Joe Burrow had time back there, and it was, I don't know. You got to tell me, dude, what's going on with Joe Burrow? I'm not ready to call him Joe Zero here, but as you can see, he ranked in the bottom of the league with Deshaun Watson and Caleb Williams and Daniel Jones in terms of EPA per dropback, and that's not where you want to be.
Yeah, so I do think it's important that we explain what EPA per dropback is. It's just a fancy analytic. I can get into. I'm not the biggest EPA expert, and there are a lot of theorists out there that don't like EPA when it comes to contextualizing quarterback play. But basically, it's expected points added. It's just an analytic that factors in a lot of different things, right? So you saw put it back up on the screen real quick,
okay.
Andy. Joe Burrow and Deshaun Watson had a near identical game when it comes to EPA per dropback, but you see a guy like Dak Prescott who didn't play that well, but he probably didn't play as badly. That's why EPA could be a little misleading, right? But still, Joe has always been a slow starter, right? I go back, outside of the 2019 LSU season, Joe was in an interview and he was talking about, getting used to actually playing in his first couple of games as a starter at LSU in 2018. But that's always kind of been him, right? Where he's trying to feel out the new offense and everything. You look to last year, yeah, he was hurt, but he started slow. The year before, he started slow. And you go back, Andy, we remember when he had that 525-yard performance before the Ravens. That was also later in the year. And we all know Joe plays his best football as the season moves along. So I wouldn't panic too much. It didn't look like the wrist was holding him back at all, Andy. That was, to me, the biggest concern when I watched him this weekend. And, you take a look at his wrist injury and you compare it to someone like, let's say, and obviously Joe's 10 years younger than this guy, but the injury that our guy, Kirk Cousins, had clearly hampered his performance, right? You could see by the play calling that they were scared about the Achilles. You could see the way he played. It was tender. You could tell with the Achilles. So with Joe, at least the wrist looked good. And I am definitely looking at this as a potential buy low opportunity. But as you know, Andy, it's tough for Burrow stuff to just completely bottom out because so many people love him.
Yeah, but let's look at his Prism PSA 10 here. We have a couple auctions that ended yesterday. One for 79, one for 84. Historically, if we look at that card, back August 23rd, look at the buy it now is about 150. So we're looking at a 50% roughly discount right there. But if we look at the 2-year trend, and let's go back to when he was in the Super Bowl, in the playoffs, let's look at that. That was almost a $300 card. $300 buy it now, popping off the shelves here. You see people in the title, Bengals MVP, future GOAT, blah, blah, blah. Look at all the $300 transactions. On his base Prism PSA 10, there's a population of 7,428. Pretty healthy there. So it's come down a long ways, Carter. And I do think that this is providing a really interesting dip. Now, they do have the Chiefs this upcoming week. So could it get a little bit lower? Like, do you think he's going to bounce back as quickly as the Chiefs this upcoming week? Or do you think it's going to extend. Maybe he's not going to really get his footing and hit his stride until the end of November and December.
Andy, let's highlight a comment from someone that made our national trip a few years ago 10 times better. Mr. Oren Case is in the chat. Are the Bengals going to pay Jamar Chase? So you have that. No T. Higgins as well in this game. They are, right? Eventually, these things get done for franchise players like Jamar Chase. But Bengals ownership, as we know, notoriously cheap. So I don't know how long that's going to go. I don't know what this T. Higgins situation is going to look like. But Chase and Higgins have always given the Chiefs issues. So if they're healthy, why not? The Bengals will beat the Chiefs by 10 this next weekend. Let's go, Joey B. Show them who the real QB1 is this weekend. Let's go.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. I don't think they're going to win, but paying Jamar Chase is definitely going to help resolve some things because he had like the mysterious illness, and I was like, this is totally contract related. So I do think paying Chase is definitely going to help, sure things up there for him, give him a little boost of confidence. But I don't know, man. I think the dip could get it a little bit bigger here for Joe Burrow, especially when you have some of these other quarterbacks that are stealing a lot of the limelight. I mean, Jordan Love played pretty solid, but he did get hurt. Tua had a solid game. Herbert, this is what a lot of people expected, right? With Jim Harbaugh running the ball, playing bully ball, man. And Herbert literally had no throws like over 10 yards. It was pretty gross, but he won. He was 1-0.
Yeah. Look. The one thing I'll say about football cards, it's going to be interesting, Andy, is how people are going to react to quarterback play overall being down. And I'm not saying quarterback play is bad per se. I don't think the NFL has ever had this much talent at QB, but it's just so freaking hard to play quarterback now with the defenses being as good as they are. So one thing I did, Andy, over the past couple of weeks, the NFL channel that I host, I did a lot of preseason breakdowns and also do a lot of college football breakdowns and obviously do a lot of NFL breakdowns. I am so convinced that the defensive players, the jump from college to preseason to actual first team defense is far bigger than that of the offense. I just think the defensive players are so freaking good now in the NFL, right? We focus so much on offense, and the league is all about offense. But, man, the gap between how much better the defenses are with the first team guys being healthy and the offense is crazy, right? It's absolutely positively crazy how good these defenses are. And they're playing all this too high. It's really hard to hit deep shots now. It's phased a guy like Russell Wilson completely out of the game. So, Andy, let me just ask you this, and now I'll ask everyone in the chat this. Are you liking this NFL where there's just not as much like high-flying, big-time offense?
Hey, man, my Buccaneers are a high-flying, big-time offense. Well,
yeah, I mean, I know you're happy because Baker was the only one to go like ham this weekend, like compared to expectation. I know Josh Allen went off this weekend too, but it is interesting.
No, I do like it because it's I feel like it's more strategic and you can't just do the same thing anymore to win the game. Like you really do have to get creative. And I think you're seeing that. And it's a lot of cat and mouse, a lot of who can adjust the quickest. And I like it. I like defensive battles.
You do?
Yeah, man. I like a good defensive battle. I love it when these edge rushers are just breathing down these QBs' necks, forcing them to make super quick decisions, forcing the offensive coordinator to make adjustments to counteract that and seeing if they can. And it just makes it makes it for more exciting games, in my opinion. So I like that.
Okay. So it should be interesting to see because it's a good point by Jonathan. Offense is more about timing. So hopefully offense can play better. But Andy, one position where it was huge, absolutely unfreaking believably huge this weekend was running backs, right? Saquon Barkley went freaking off. And it concerned me because he was my least drafted, like, first or second round player, right? Joe freaking Mixon went off. James Conner in a losing effort. Now, he didn't go off like those guys, but he played well, right? So you have these dusty backs. Obviously, a guy like Jacobs, he didn't look amazing, but the snap share was ridiculous. So you would like to think Josh Jacobs in that offense is going to have a few big games for Green Bay. So, Andy, was a big weekend for running backs.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, we saw significant price spikes talking about 2017. Joe Mixon cards definitely doubled in value. Still, like base silver prisms are still like $5, $10, or less. They're under $10. Like I've seen, bouncing around between 5 and 10. Same thing with like the optic hollows. But there was a lot of money being dropped between that $50 and $100 range for his rookie autos, and his rookie ticket autos went up significantly from like that $20 range to the $50 range. So we saw that jump, and we also saw a lot of demand for rookie cards. Looking at guys like you mentioned, Kenneth Walker. All right, he had a big day. He had a lot of demand for his rookie cards. Saquon Barkley's cards went up in value, and his cards were already expensive, Carter,
right,
from 2018. So those cards went up, and I was like, wow, that's impressive. But I mean, the start that he had in an island games have a bigger impact as well. I mean, they just look so dominant there in Brazil, especially on the ground. And I think with this new, this kind of new cat and mouse battle that we talked about with defenses today, the run game is going to be even more important, So
and I do have to give you some love, man. I was all in on Tyjae Spears, but Tony Pollard looked good this weekend. I mean,
let's go, baby.
You're right, man. You correctly told me that Tony Pollard would have some juice.
Yeah, I also said that I think J.K. Dobbins would have some juice too, because you asked me who's the Chargers RB1 going to be. I was like, isn't it J.K. Dobbins? And you were like, this was like 2 months ago, but it's stuck in my head because you were like, nah, man, he's done, dude. He's done.
Else, man. J.K., bro. Making my Gus Edwards shares looking really bad right now. So you're right, man. You're in on some of these older running backs, and I love to see it. Like I've had friends that have played running back in the league, and I've seen them get phased out, Andy, and it sucks. It sucks seeing them just lose that juice, lose that gusto, lose that burst. But man, the RBs are RBing right now, and I love to see it. Now, Andy, let's just say somebody was watching this right now. Would you recommend our viewers to go off and go buy some running back cards? I still think it's a little too volatile, but what say you?
Well, I think at this point you're making like these handcuff plays. So like you're looking at these bell cow situations like Saquon for the Eagles, for example. I mean, Kenneth Gainwell's nice, but I'm more interested in the rookie Will Shipley. Like what if something did happen to Saquon? Because Saquon's now with the price increase after this past week, I'm not buying him, right? I'm not buying him. I'm going to wait and see what happens. Now he's too high. Like his prices are now at the price where it's like, okay, my upside is totally limited. If I buy now, I'm not. There's got to be a lot of collection value there because I'm really not going to make a profit buying in at the prices that they are now. But I can go around the league and look at a guy like Chase Brown for the Bengals and say, okay, well, the Bengals are going to bounce back and I'm going to make a little Joe Burrow stack. Maybe I'll buy into some Chase Brown here in hopes for better days to come. And they kind of get this thing going here. Or, you can have some exposure to Zach Moss too. I love what Aaron Jones did this past weekend. Yeah. And he's a guy that could potentially be still a little bit undervalued. I haven't dug into his market a whole lot to see how much he went up, but he's got pretty limited rookie cards from 2017. The focus is really strictly on the prism. And now that Jordan Addison hurt his other ankle, and so you basically have, Justin Jefferson and Aaron Jones and maybe Jalen Naylor, but it's like, I think people are going to get excited about Aaron Jones and Justin Jefferson there, and Aaron Jones maybe undervalued a little bit. Oh, another running back performance, Carter, that was huge was Tank freaking Bigsby for the Jags. He ran tough, man. He forced a lot of missed tackles. He was making the most out of his opportunities there, and he actually siphoned off quite a few carries from Travis Etienne.
Right, but the biggest, Andy, I'm sharing my screen right now. Obviously, he's in the middle of a little bit of a controversy, and I hate it for him. is our friend Jordan Mason.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, his
I
card
mean,
went up so much.
I mean, this is just ridiculous. Rookie ticket auto, running back, Jordan Mason. Now, Andy, you talk about this all the time. These lesser known rookies, their rookie ticket autos become more valuable because they're just not printed as much into other cards. And like you, I really like the 2022 rookie ticket auto design. It looks like a real ticket. 159 by now. I don't know what this
Oof.
44.99 was. 159 by
Some people didn't get the memo. You know, you got to think. So I talked to a guy, I talked to a guy in the comments earlier. I made a post about it this morning because there's that $60 buy it now, and I'm like looking at all these $130 solds for base rookie ticket autos of Jordan Mason. But this is what happened when they only have this one card.
Right.
And this is Jordan Mason's main rookie card. This is it. So pro uniform, and he plays for the 49ers, so pro uniform is a big deal. You can see somebody probably got this card for $5-10. If you scroll back, if you filter at the top, Carter, by lowest, showing the low, like Jordan Mason, type in rookie ticket auto and go price plus shipping, lowest first. Look at that.
150.
$1.50 card back in July, and now it's $150. Talk about, and this is when people say, you can't make money flipping football cards. Like, I mean, come on. The data speaks for itself here, and this is just one of many instances, but this has been the biggest riser. I mean, I don't know what the percentage profit margin increase is there, but it's insane.
What that would be $1.50 to $150 would be. Come on, Chad Dyer, you know math.
Yeah, somebody get your scientific calculator out.
It should just be 1,000. That's 1,000x increase, right? If it's 150 to $150, $5, $1 freaking dollar.
Yeah.
$1. Well, $6 out the door, but it's still $1 freaking dollar. So this is also $6 out the door. $6 out the door. God dog, man. Holy crap. $2.50, $6.99, $7, $7, $4.65.
And Jordan Mason doesn't even have an impressive athletic profile. He just plays for the right team. Christian McCaffrey was a pre-game scratch because the calf didn't feel right in warmups, and inserts player X into Kyle Shanahan running scheme behind a great offensive line, and you're gonna ball. So that's what Jordan Mason does. I mean, the guy's undrafted. I mean, the guy ran a 4.63, 37 percentile speed. I mean, none of his metrics from college, Georgia Tech, not impressive at all. But yet insert in the Kyle Shanahan San Francisco system against the Jets, neutralized their fierce pass rush, and boom, he balled out.
Sean says, I have 7 Mason RTAs to put up for auction. If there is ever a sell now opportunity, it's this.
Yeah, why go auction? What if Christian McCaffrey's back next week? I would be listing those in a buy it now, right now.
I would. That is one where I would probably do a few. I would do 2 or 3 auctions just to make sure you get them out. But if you list it that right now for 119, it's going to get poached, right?
Yeah.
Especially now. The one thing that I think is going to help him over this next week is people love a story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Mason has a story, right? He had to beat out Elijah Mitchell, who was hurt, undrafted, no name, Georgia Tech, really nothing. And now he's a victim for what happened last night. For those that don't know, he said, hey, I was told Friday that I was going to start. And the coaches obviously pushed back against that. And then Jordan Mason was on the podium. Andy, did you see this?
No, I haven't seen this yet.
Okay, so he was on the podium, and he almost started crying at the podium. He was like, well, this is why I don't like talking to the media or whatever, because he's a quiet, kind of guy.
Yeah.
And it made him look bad when it was not his fault at all, right, for being honest in the interview with Lisa Salters or whatever the hell happened. So now people are like, well, not only did he play well, he's wronged. People love that. People freaking love that. And it was also a primetime game where everybody was freaking watching. So it wasn't just, you turn on Red Zone, oh, he scored a touchdown, on to the next game. It was one of those primetime games. So, yeah, I would list at least some of those in buy it nows and some of those in auction. So 2 Cards says he had one good game. Who cares? So that's the point. That's the point we're making. We're telling you to sell now because he only had one good game.
Mm-hmm.
But when you say who cares, everybody does apparently. Everybody does. Because they're buying his cards for $130 when they were $1 a few weeks ago, a few months ago. So when you say who cares, that's the thing about football cards. We're not telling you that Jordan Mason is the next Adrian Peterson per se, but these are the kind of guys you have to look for, right, Andy?
Yeah, these are the kind of guys you have to look for and get exposure to, because inevitably they go off every year and there's tons of money to be made from their flips.
All right, time for hobby tip of the week.
All right,
Andy,
man. So check this out. Talking about Fanatics exclusives, Carter, I did a live stream Friday morning. Oh no, I did a live stream over the weekend for members, and we talked about the Xavier Worthy Tops Now product that came out. There was a play to be made on them. Since then, Tops Now has released, and it makes sense to follow them. Follow Tops Instagram profile, because this is where they post this kind of stuff, and then they'll have the link in their bio, and you can see they printed the Jaden Daniels and the Caleb Williams Tops Now debut cards, and look, they're even getting an autograph that says Jaden Daniels 2 touchdown debut on his legs, Carter. There's the 1/1. So the way they're giving out these 1/1s, the out of 25s, the out of 10, I think is a total of 41 autographs. And then the base card is going to have an unlimited print, but only until you see the offer ends in 2 days at 4:15 p.m. on 9/12 at 4:15 p.m. And you could buy these cards as low as $8.50 per card. And then they're going to send out the autograph ones to random buyers. So it makes sense. Even if you buy one card, that gets you a ticket into the sweepstakes to potentially get a Tops Now Jaden Daniels rookie. And this doesn't have Commander's name. It doesn't have the Washington logo. Neither does the Caleb Williams. But clearly, he's in the Commander's uniform. This is a picture from the game yesterday.
Yeah, and it's also smart by Tops to, really understand like the importance of like now, because like people are going to forget about Jaden's debut because he lost to a certain degree, but I want the card.
With Caleb, they can't give him much. I mean, the memes that they've come out with Caleb Williams from yesterday are hilarious. I'm sorry, they've got me going, just because he did some goofy stuff back there. And ultimately, the Bears defense really secured the win for him here. And
Will Levis.
And yeah, Will Levis helped, right? But I love it how they get first win, 9-8-24, So
Tim asked me, am I getting one? Probably not. I will say my dad got into the LeBron sweepstakes for the Steph Curry 1/1 with the KD. So I wonder if, Andy, let me ask you this. Do you like Tops doing this?
I do, because we need something in pro uniforms for these rookies to be able to negotiate with, to be able to deal, to be able to buy, collect, to be able to sell. They've got to have something like this for the Fanatics exclusive athletes. And so I'm very interested to see how quickly they can get these. I've also been informed by like Red 5 Cards, for example, submitted a bunch of these to PSA, and he got a very high turnaround rate of raw to PSA 10. And I think it's not going to be consistent from batch to batch, player to player. Some are going to be, a lot of 9s and 8s, but I think generally speaking, you're going to have a high conversion of raw to PSA 10, and they're very flippable, man. So look at Jaden. He hardly has any pro uniform cards. He's got some Tops Now in the draft, from the draft and stuff. But yeah, I want this card. Like, I'm going to buy some of these Jaden Daniels because I'm thinking the print run's going to be 4,000 or 5,000, but
Right.
still, even at 4,000 or 5,000, when this is one of, 2 pro uniform cards you've got, I'm going to go ahead and buy them, and I could probably flip them for $19.99, and maybe I get a chance, with the plain white envelope, maybe I get a chance to get one of those autos. Now I get one of those autos. Now I got a $500 to $1,000 plus card.
Andy playing the lottery. I love it, baby. Let's freaking go. But yeah, I'm a buyer of the 101. I'm kidding. I probably don't. Actually, I'll tell you, I don't have that kind of money. But I do like the inscription, right? 2 touchdown debut. That's actually pretty cool. So I also hope the signatures look as good as these.
Yeah.
Right? I love the big sigs, man. I'm all about the big sigs, not the little George Pickens squigglies. Okay, Andy. My hobby tip of the week is simple. People still love college football, right? And college football cards have gotten to be more interesting. Okay. But one thing you did notice, over the weekend is quarterbacks can regress in college as well, right? Obviously with Shedeur Sanders playing the way that he played. So keep that in mind when you're doing some college prospecting, because if you believe that this player is going to be a first round pick regardless, it should be one of those things where the hype should keep the price up for certain cards. Dandy, did you freeze? Wait,
I'm noticing.
Wait, are you froze?
My face is frozen with excitement over these Jaden Daniels tops now. Let me see.
Oh man, wait, hold on. Let's see how long this lasts. Okay, here we go. All right, now let's rebump it. Let's get it.
I'm coming back.
There you go. Now, okay, let's see.
Don't lose faith on me. All right, hold on. Here we go. Woo.
There we go. My favorite thing when this happens is the print at the bottom, whatever that says at the bottom makes me happy. So there you go. Now, before we give our plays of the week, we are going to take as many questions as we possibly can. Jonathan across the pond. It is 6 p.m. in England right now. We got viewers in
Nice.
England right now, 6 p.m. So would you like some tea and crumpets, Andy?
Oh, love me a good crumpet, man. But you got to have it with the tea, because sometimes they could be a little dry. So you got to have it with the tea.
Some of the best food in the world is the Indian food in London. So you should definitely check it out. Are Leaf Automania worth prospecting, Andy?
Leaf Automania, what player? Generally speaking, they're better than Sage cards, and they're about the same value as Wild Card. I like some of the Leaf products because they have the little XRC logo. They have some nice autos. They typically do like a nice chrome finish card with some nice bling to it. So for the right player, it is absolutely worth prospecting when it comes to players that have limited print variety of maybe Bowman Chrome University, or they have no other pro uniform cards. And I'm picking between a Leaf Automania or a Sage card. I'm picking the Leaf all day.
Yeah, and I think I just looked this up because I'm not the biggest fan of Wild Card. I think it's Wild Card. I think Wild Card does auto. I don't know. There's so many now, but I'm pretty sure it's Wild Card Automania. But there might be a Leaf Automania. I don't know. And I have, as Andy knows, most of my collection actually is Leaf. But yeah, there are a lot of fun, interesting college prospects. And the thing that's really good about college football, Andy, is what we talked about earlier. They still score a lot of points, right? I can't get over this. If you watch as much college football as I did, and watch as much preseason football as I did, and then watch as much week one NFL, the defenses are so much freaking better in the NFL, from the scheme to the actual players, the football IQ, all of it, right? The defenses in the NFL are really, really, really freaking good. So in college, you still see scoring. You still see guys put up big points. You still see blown coverages. Not in the NFL, or you rarely do. If Matt Patricia is your defensive coordinator, you're going to see a lot of blown coverages. So there you go. Let's take a few more. Let's go to Hector, who wants to talk about some Lad McConkey. Andy Lad had a decent day over the weekend.
Yeah. Target leader for the Chargers. Also, really sick juke, showing off his footwork. Kind of reminded me of Bijan Robinson back in his rookie year, but last year when he juked out 2 guys near the goal line and took it for the touchdown. So, yeah, I think hands down, we got to see a glimpse of Lad McConkey as a wide receiver 1 there. I think that's going to only develop throughout the season. And even if Justin Herbert's not throwing it downfield and they're playing very conservative, Lad McConkey already showcasing that he's going to be excellent against man coverage, press coverage, any kind of defensive coverage. Lad McConkey's going to get open, and I think he's going to command a nice target share this year. So, yeah, and, he's got the Panini instant product. He's got the RPS first look cards. I saw a couple confirmed sold on his RPS first look auto out of 49 for 75. That was a $25 card directly from Panini. And, I think that's a nice flip. I would be inclined to hold that because I'm looking to get more. I think the upside is more Keon Coleman level, more Rome Odunze for Chicago level. I know his went for 225. We've seen the Keon Coleman's go for about 150, and I'm looking to get that out of my Lad RPS first look auto. Although 75 is not bad, I think there's a lot more upside there.
Yeah, one player we didn't talk about, Andy, was Xavier Worthy in his game. It seems like it's kind of distant now. But, I mean, if he still has nuclear games, his cards are going to be absolutely absurd to the point where, I mean, his cards might start selling more than like a Marvin Harrison or even Malik Neighbors if they keep winning, right? Marvin looked meh. We need to see more. Malik looked really good, but Daniel Jones is his quarterback. And I'm not biased towards Malik Neighbors. Go look at Hayden Winks. He had a fancy schmancy stat that showed Malik, when targeted, had a very high EPA when you actually look his way. But, we don't have a quarterback. It really doesn't need. If you don't have a quarterback, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, what were the Giants doing not drafting a quarterback this past year?
Yeah,
they're going to end up having to draft a quarterback next year, and so they're in a fiasco situation, just like the Browns. I mean,
let's go to Don. Will Levis prices seems to have dropped off to a Bryce Young levels or lowers, and I think he's better than him with more upside. Buy low now for a flip, or is Levis doo-doo man like Daniel Jones, Andy?
I don't think Levis is as bad as Daniel Jones. I'm not sure there's any coming back here. I still feel for Daniel Jones, I still feel like Will Levis is pretty young and he's got a lot to learn. It's going to be a tough road. I think Will Levis's prices are going to continue to get lower. I'm not buying the dip quite yet. I think you're going to see some pretty low prices on Will Levis here heading into October, November. This is not an easy schedule. For example, they've got the Jets this upcoming week. I think the Jets bounce back. I mean, they just got crushed in time of possession last night too. And we had, 2 vintage Aaron Rodgers drives. And then the rest of the time he looked like an old man, but I think he's going to get better as the season goes on. And I think the Jets are going to roll over the Titans here. So, I think it's going to be a tough road for Will Levis. His price is going to get lower and maybe a better buy in like October, November when it's just very little downside at that point.
Yeah, this is the issue with Will Levis. Was he dominant in college? No. He was never a dominant college player, ever. So it was always an upside, pure upside, kind of Josh Allen type of thing, where you see the arm strength. Obviously, he doesn't have the speed of Josh Allen. But, man, it's tough, man. He takes a lot of sacks. He makes a lot of bad decisions. Titans don't really have that much wiggle room for error. And it doesn't help when your coach comes out and says, we would have won the game if we would have just punted on 1st and 10. That is never really a vote of confidence. The upside case for Will Levis, though, is the Titans. That was a historic collapse, right? That was an Arkansas Razorback level collapse. I mean, it was that big of a choke job. So the Titans still have a decent roster, and they still could, make a run at a 9-ish win season. So there you go. Andy, a few plays of the week, this was actually going to be my play of the week, and Ham actually beat me to it. And I want to just go straight to it here with Michael Ham. Drew Lock, right? It's clear now that he's going to play. It's clear. It doesn't make any sense to keep doing what they're doing with Daniel Jones. So Drew Lock was definitely one of our targets from a few weeks back. I'd have to go back and look at the episodes again. And Drew Lock is also a very affable guy. After his Monday Night Football game where he won the game for the Seahawks, he gave a pretty viral interview, right? So Drew Lock, big market. Giants have some weapons, obviously, with Malik Neighbors. So Drew Lock is definitely one of those things that I will look to buy low. And we saw last year with Tommy DeVito how people could go crazy over Giants quarterbacks. So, yeah, Drew Lock's actually my play of the week.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. Silver Prism Optic Contenders rookie ticket auto for $65, sealed by Panini. Doesn't get much cheaper than that for rookie quarterback here. I mean, that card for Kyler, even at Kyler's low point, was like $200, $250. So doesn't get much cheaper than that. I mean, Drew Lock's at the bottom here, and I think the writing's on the wall for him to play. And he's gonna be better just because he doesn't have to do much to be better than Daniel Jones at this point. So, and Carter, I think there's a bunch of QB plays to make this week if you're reading the writing on the wall. To Jonathan's point, DTR is not the play. He's been terrible in NFL season, but they've got Jameis freaking Winston behind Deshaun Watson on the depth chart, and he would absolutely be the starter. So even if Deshaun Watson continues to stink, they're probably going to continue to start him because they pay him so much. But dude, he is not doing anything to protect himself. He is taking the worst kind of hits, like no sliding, just dude, he's going to get hurt. I think he's trying to get hurt. It's almost like Deshaun Watson is trying to get hurt out there so he doesn't have to play. And Jameis Winston's going to go in, and they've got good weapons. Like, Jameis Winston's going to ball. He might give you those 4 interception games, but he's also going to give you 4 touchdown games with some incredible EPA as well. So I think Jameis Winston's a great play to make for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, and this was also going to be one of my plays of the week, Andy. Find all your Malik Willises and have them ready. Okay. He's probably going to start. And if he cannot succeed in this environment with this play caller and all of that, then he cannot play at all. Okay. So this is a really, really, really good opportunity. If you had a lot of those Maliks from Kenny Pickett's terrible draft class, this is your time to move them. Okay. So there you go.
Yeah, because Jordan Love's going to be back in 3 to 4 weeks. And that's going to be just enough time for you to sell Malik Willis. And he's probably going to stink it up anyway. So, this is the time to potentially offload. And yeah, he's starting. He's going to start on Sunday over Sean Clifford. So there you go. I mean, this is the time to sell Malik Willis. Carter, I also think it's only a matter of time. I give you one more. It's only a matter of time before they bench Gardner Minshew and they bring in Aiden O'Connell. And I know Hector's here for it, man. I know Hector's here for it. He's holding on to it as AOCs. And it's only a matter of time, man. It's only a matter of time because Gardner Minshew looked indecisive out there. He looked scared as well. He looked like he wasn't ready for this. And I'm surprised, but, I'm not fully surprised, but, he played a lot better for the Colts last year. But you got to have a different – you don't have – the play calling is not nearly as good I almost said Oakland, but for the Las Vegas Raiders as it is for the Colts.
Hector, if you're in the Discord, send me a photo of your gold Malik Willis's because I don't believe you. I don't believe you. But as Jim points out, Love might actually play this week. Man, here's my thing, man. Travel back from Brazil. You get a little bit of a longer week with it being a Friday game. So, you're getting back, you get a little extra rest, whatever. But, man, you just paid them all this money. You're in it for the long term. The rest of the NFC North, look pretty okay. Obviously, Chicago won, Lions won, Vikings won. So I get kind of the push since you're kind of in the hole already. But I don't know. I mean, the injury happened so late in the game. It would be interesting if Jordan Love played, but still, the Malik Willis hype is going to be pretty fun leading into the game. I'm interested to see if he actually plays well.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't think he's going to play, Carter. I would be really surprised if he doesn't at least take 1 week off, because it's just something you don't want to mess around with the and potentially set him back a lot further. But I guess we shall see. Exciting games though this weekend, man. Like Raiders at the Ravens. I mean, this is probably the last game that Gardner Minshew is going to play. It's probably the last one because, I mean, Antonio Pierce, I'm sure he takes a lot of pride in his job. He was a long shot for a head coach, and he wants to retain that. And the whole reason why they gave Gardner Minshew the starting job in Week 1 was because of ball security. This is Antonio Pierce's words, and then in this game, you had I think 2 fumbles from Gardner Minshew. You have 4 sacks, you have 1 interception, and you had 1 fumble. So he lost a fumble and threw a pick, 2 turnovers. That's a huge factor in why they lost the game, couldn't keep up. And so I think it's only a matter of time. They're going up against the Ravens, who actually have a really good defense. And we might see Aiden O'Connell as soon as Week 3. So get ready.
Good time to start listing Saquon Barkley cards. Yes, of course, James. But the thing about Saquon is, as Andy pointed out, he's always kind of had a bigger market than what you would think, right? His stuff has always kind of been expensive. But, I mean, if he has another game like he did last week, he becomes the RB1 basically in fantasy. So it's interesting with Saquon's market.
Yeah, he's a great hold. He's a great sell, depending on how much profit. I look at it this way. If you've got multiple Saquon Barkleys, take some of the lower end ones, sell those off right now, and then hold, because I think the Eagles are a playoff team. Also, I think Saquon Barkley's on track, like I said in the bold predictions last week, Carter, to be the rushing leader in the NFL this year. He showcased it first week, baby, off to a hot start. I mean, this is just the perfect setup for Saquon. Just wait till he plays the Giants. It's going to be disgusting how many yards he puts up.
Yeah, if he does that, I'm buried in all my fade. Like I faded. He was my hardest fade at cost.
Yeah, you can get him in round 2 every time, and you chose not to.
It was the health. It was Jalen's actual rushing ability. No more Jason Kelsey. So I'm interested to see if my bold prediction of fading him. Now, if he fell like at the 1-2 turn, I would scoop him up and do like a CMC build, especially if I had CD. I'd stack that. But it's not that I hate Saquon. I just didn't like him at cost, but it could bury me. A lot of the guys that I was out on had bad weeks. It's just a lot of the guys that I was in on didn't have good weeks either. So it should be interesting. So there you go. All right, Andy, before we skedaddle, I'll let you take a few more comments. I always pick them out, but it's your turn, brother.
Sure. I have to, scroll through the chat here. There's a lot of comments. The chat is lit, man.
Dude, I'm telling you, they freaking love football cards. Well, they love you. That's a problem. Is they freaking they can't live without this show.
Well, I appreciate you guys. Let's take this one from Dakota Deck Draws. Do you guys really think that this pajama tops now cards are going to sell? Is he referencing the blank uniforms from Caleb and Jaden? Oh yeah, I mean, you could go on eBay and people are selling screenshots of them for $20 right now of Jaden and Caleb, calling them pre-sale. And then basically in their fine print, they say, oh, well, this isn't going to ship right away. We'll update you when we get these. We'll ship them to you. But yeah, I mean, especially on these quarterbacks, Xavier Worthy, I mean, basically is valuable as a quarterback right now because he plays for the Chiefs, got that Chiefs tax, as Carter has mentioned before. And they're all very flippable. They're all going to sell. The thing is, they're not valued at the same as the premium sets from Panini. They just aren't because they don't have the NFL license. Now, if they had that NFL license, then they'd really be the real deal. But there's still a lot of people that are going to buy them because there's literally nothing else out there in terms of pro uniform. So that's what it is.
Yeah, as Don pointed out, and I actually have quite a few of these Arizona State like autos. The unlicensed Arizona State leash stuff with the red, the maroon and yellow uniforms looks like the Commander uniforms. So it is kind of strange. I mean, you could tell the difference between the two, but it is very, very, very weird that is the case. So there you go. All right, Andy, do you want to take a few more, or are we done?
Yeah. So I got another one that I just start up here, and we were talking about Joe Burrow earlier, and Crypto Nuts said, just thinking what happened with Jermaine Burton this week and no play. Andre Iosivas beat him out on the depth chart, and he was out there for the 2 wide receiver sets. So, and it just wasn't a good game for the Bengals, as we talked about earlier.
Iosivas?
Is that how I say it? Is that how you say it, right? Yosavas? Yosivas?
No, it's a Yoshivas.
Oh, Yoshi. That's why people were nicknaming him Yoshi.
Yoshi,
okay.
Yes.
I would have never guessed that ever.
Iosivas. I love it. God. Hector coming after me here. Burrow very overrated in the hobby, and Patrick Wayne collects. They're going into Burrowhead Stadium. He owns it. Tell him, Patrick. That Hector's speaking out of his rear end here. Look, here's what I would say, and then we'll get to the defensive players comment here. All right. Burrow's prices have always shocked me, like how high they were. Like, I mean, they've always just been a little bit higher compared to, what you would expect his prices to be. That's all I'll say about that. But let's go to Jonathan. Any love to defensive players, Andy?
So let's give some love to defensive players here. Who do you think the best defensive player was yesterday? I'll probably go TJ Watt.
TJ was great. Obviously Parsons was Parsons, but either one of those two, sure.
So TJ Watt, and interestingly enough, he didn't have like a rated rookie logo from 2017. So when you're looking at his cards, he does have like the optic rookie card, but no rated rookie. Huge demand for his market. So let's look at one of his bigger transactions here. A Blue Wave PSA 9 out of 149. That's sold for $260 and a buy it now. This was yesterday.
Interesting.
So for comparison, I'll pull up another one to give you an idea of what that card kind of historically has done. If we could find some comparison data here to see if it's truly gone up. 240. Okay, we have a SGC 9.5 for 240 back on August 6th and 260 on September 9th. And so his sold volume is great. Very small price increases because his prices were already so high. And that's one of those disclaimers, those things I talk about. So you'll see the same thing with Micah Parsons. He would literally have to, there's nothing he could really do in the one game here at the beginning of the season that's going to cause his cards to double in value because they're already so high, It
is interesting, I just did a quick search on TJ Watt rookie ticket autos, and I'm looking at one that sold in an SGC 9.5 for $200. It's still wild to me that like Jordan Mason is only $50 cheaper than that. That is just so freaking wild to me when we're looking at one of the best defensive players of all time when his career will be over. Now you have obviously these rare rookie ticket autos, but you see 199 in a silver. We're talking about a silver, right?
That's Christian McCaffrey prices right there. It's basically Christian McCaffrey prices, which makes sense. TJ Watt in his position is at the top of top of the food chain.
I still can't believe Jordan Mason for $150. I still cannot get over somebody's process over that.
He's the player of the week, baby. He's the running back Mike White phenomenon so far of 2024. You love to see it, man. I absolutely love to see it because those are the kind of plays that I hunt down. And I cashed in big time on Isaiah Likely this week. And who else did I sell a bunch of? It was Isaiah Likely. And his name's I sold a few Xavier Worthy cards. That's what it is. And there's a couple that I haven't even listed that I've got a ton of profit in. But those are my big flips this week. Was Isaiah Likely, who I basically sold out on, and then some Xavier Worthy.
And the guy that would have made me a lot of money, but I sold all my stuff for profit before the season, Jameson Williams, Jammo popping off. We didn't talk about Jameson Williams. Gregory Rousseau.
Greg Rousseau had a great game for the Bills. He's like not a super well-known player, but he's sneaky good, man. And I think he's going to be up there in terms of sacks this year. I think he put up 2 sacks on Kyler this past Sunday.
Okay,
and, yeah, he's an up-and-coming player. I think he went to Miami. That's right.
Yeah. He's a king.
Doesn't have a whole lot, but you can see people are buying them. They're still pretty cheap. Let's see if there's any big one. Okay. 1 of 1 Obsidian, Greg Rousseau auto, $220. Buy it now yesterday. That was his biggest transaction. Rookie ticket autos for about 20.
I like that. On a winning team too.
Yeah, I mean, and when you have an auction that ended today, like when did this auction end? Like it ended morning time on a Tuesday. The worst time to end an auction. He still got 14 bids. Ended for $16, and this is one of those cards that at the bottom is going to be just you could probably find this at a card show for just a couple dollars, maybe in a dollar bin or at the most a $5 bin, and it's now up to 15. So defensive players very, very relevant in the hobby. Yeah, look, $4 buy it now, July 25th. You turn around flipping that for 15 to 20 now. And so he's a guy playing for the Bills that could continue to go up throughout the season here.
Let's go. Patrick Wayne collects with the super. So nice to have football back. Looking forward to another year with the Quest. Good luck, y'all. Go 49ers. Yeah. Jake Moody, Michigan legend for MVP.
What about that? Who's that kicker that made a 66-yarder and then he was lining up and he was going to – it was the wasn't it the Cowboys kicker?
Brandon Aubrey.
Brandon Aubrey has got a leg, man. Unreal. What'd you think of Tom Brady's broadcasting debut? I thought he was like, he's no Tony Romo or anything in the booth. I thought he struggled a little bit in his debut.
Yeah, you want to know why Peyton Manning and Eli never got in the broadcast booth? It's because they can do what they're doing now, right?
Yeah.
It's different actually being in the broadcast booth calling games, right? As someone who has been a color commentator and play-by-play guy for football at the high school level, it's not always a fit, even for someone like Tom who does have a affable personality. You could tell he was nervous, right? Mm-hmm. And the one thing that I think scares him is being critical of players, right? It's always one of those things for former players. So I think it'll get better, but yeah, it was definitely kind of strange.
Yeah, it was kind of strange. I thought the same thing, like he was scared, and then maybe he was like looking at some kind of prompter or something. So there's always like a delay in almost everything that he said, and there was like these awkward moments of silence. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Check out this Jake Moody. So back to Patrick Wayne's collects. This Jake Moody stack deck here from Wildcard. Got the king of clubs with the red color match to the 49ers. Sold for, was listed for $70 and sold in a buy it now. This was yesterday for $55.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's go, Jake.
Let's go, Jake.
Also, Jake Bates. 64-yard kick, Michigan UFL team, now kicking for the Lions. Funny story about Jake Bates. He was actually a backup college kicker to now the starting kicker for the Jaguars, rookie Cam Little. They were both at Arkansas. Okay. Look at Brandon Aubrey for 561.
Kickers, man. There's no bounds. There's no limitations to the type of players you can get into now in the football card hobby. They all have value. They all have potential if they're good players. Look at this. Look at this. Boom. Brandon Aubrey, 2024 hits, memorabilia, boom, gold out of 10, signed BGS, $99.99 yesterday in a buy it now.
Brandon freaking Aubrey.
Didn't mean to distract you there, Carter, about that college football story you were telling.
No, I don't care. What are you talking about? What goes to show you is that there's all kind of kickers from all different walks of life. Okay. But there you go. James says, I thought Zay Flowers would have put up better numbers against KC. Well, it was just the Isaiah Likely game. James, I'll also tell you that a lot of people felt Mark Andrews would put up better numbers against KC. So there you go. Patrick, who super chatted, said, oh, God, Patrick, come on.
Moody and the Jets.
Dun, 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 dun. I like it. There you go. All right. You can follow him on Twitter, FB CardQuest. And Andy, the offer still stands. Whoever wants to join our football card Patreon, I got your first month covered. So go sign up today.
You got to send a screenshot to Carter that you're subscribed to Power Hour NFL. That is definitely a prerequisite.
Yeah,
you got to subscribe to Power Hour NFL. Go comment on his latest video about Jaden Daniels, and then offer's good.
There you go. But most importantly, offer still stands. If you go sign up for the football card Patreon, you get all our extra analysis, and I cover your first month. Okay, yeah, and it's only what is it now? $8 a month.
It's you get so as low footballcardquest.com, the membership for the Discord and the weekly articles and that stuff, the backstage pass, all that is as low as $6. There's 3 different tiers there, 6, 12, and 20. And then what we've done is we've grandfathered all those members of our Patreon service. They continue to have their access to what's called now Slabhawk, but Slabhawk has now been separated because we had to increase the size of the cloud server, and all the software coding capabilities have been increased so for us to be able to do some really cool things that we're excited about, that videos are going to be coming out about soon. But new members that want access to just Slabhawk are going to now, in the future moving forward, just go directly to Slabhawk and sign up there. It's going to be separate memberships, so because of all the software expenses and everything associated with Slabhawk.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, Slabhawk is the data that we used a little bit earlier to show you the charts. We use our own charts here because we are awesome. And yeah, there's plenty of other charts. I'm sure a lot of your members or some of the other chart services. So there you go. Shout out CGC, always supporting us. Also, shout out nooffseason.com. Check them out. And we'll see you next week. Joe Burrow goes for 350 this next weekend. We'll see you. Boom.
Boom. 350, man. I'm waiting to see it.